Long afloat on shipless oceans, I did all my best to smile, till your singing eyes and fingers drew me loving to your eyes.
I don't have a specific story, but Trey was a guy that you wanted to have as a friend for a number of reasons. First, he was the first one that could drive out of all of us, so he was the one that would help us get to where we wanted to go. Secondly, Miss Janet always bought new clothes for him that he never knew was even in his closet. And so even though he was super skinny and I was a bigger guy, he always wore bigger size clothes, so I could borrow his clothes. And then most of all, he was a loyal friend. He always had your back. He was always supportive, whether it was for me, obviously playing basketball with him is the time we would spend most of our time together. But he would go to my football games and he would support us. I know he was there for our baseball games to support our team. And there's been many times where if I ever needed something, I knew I could call Trey and I could depend on him. So much so that it was shortly after my wife and I moved to Sulphur. Trey called me to kind of tell me about some things that he was going through. And how he reached out to me, just to visit and catch up and kind of lean on me for some support. And even though I was here in Sulphur and we had a lot going on with the church and with work, I just couldn't help but think, if I was in his shoes, I knew Trey would come immediately. And so, made a special visit to Baton Rouge just to go see him. Just a loyal, faithful friend. That's what I remember about him. And I'm really gonna miss that guy.
And you sang, sail to me, let me enfold you. Here I am, waiting to hold you.
Hey guys, man, I really hate the fact that I'm having to do this video right now. It's gonna be tough for me. Trey was always such a great person, and whose life just ended way sooner than any of us wanted to see happen. I've been knowing Trey for almost 25 years and have so many great memories with him that I'll always think about and really cherish the good times that we had. He was just such a nice person. Always had just the biggest smile on his face whenever he was hanging around with us or anything that he did. He was always so respectful to my parents, to my wife's parents. So they always talked about that, how he was just such a nice and respectful person. It was always just so fun to be around. You guys really raised a good son. He was a great person. We're all going to miss Trey so much. And there's really nothing else that I can say. I mean, he was a great friend. I'm going to think about him over these next few days and just know that I'm going to get to see him again one day and just see that big smile on his face and give him the biggest hug when I see him. Love y'all guys.
Did I dream you dreamed about me? Were you here when I was forced out? Now my foolish boat is leading Touch me not, touch me not, come back tomorrow. And oh my heart shines from the soul.
Mr. Tootie, Miss Janet, Jana, I know words don't mean anything, but we just want to tell you how sorry we were. We're heartbroken for you guys, and nothing we can say can make it any better, but we just wanted you to know that we're praying for God's comfort, his peace, love over you guys, and we're just thinking about you. Some of the best memories we got of Trey. So we were kind of the first, I guess, couple to get married and kind of had our own house and our own place. So a lot of weekends over at the Mincer household in 15741 Alford Drive, and pretty much every weekend it was the crew, and Trey was always there. And some weekends maybe a couple of us partook too much of the beverage. Never Trey. Trey was always the one. He was going to stay up, but he was going to make sure that if you were the first one to fall asleep, he was going to make you pay. Sometimes it was his inner culinary came out, and he'd get a little red pepper and make sure you breathe that a little bit while you're sleeping, and that would really wake you up. Sometimes it would be permanent marker. Maybe put a nice sweet message on your face, so the next morning when you went through the drive-thru at McDonald's, the ladies there got a good kick out of the message that he left you on there. Man, after I joined the military, it was never Jordan. It was always Lieutenant Mintz in his best Forrest Gump voice. And that's who I was from then on. After I joined the military, it was Lieutenant Mintz. And man, just always smiling, the kindest, sweetest spirit. Man, I'm gonna miss him like crazy.
Yeah. Talking about those offer drive days, Trey was always willing to cook. None of us could, so he volunteered, you know. And oh man, he was a great cook. He taught me to make a roux. Still not very good at it, but I know what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to smell like, thanks to Trey. But the deal was always, he cooks, I clean. Man, he could dirty a kitchen. But I never complained. He'd use every pot and pan, but it would taste great. So I gladly did the dishes. Those were always some real fun memories with him. I mean, there's nothing bad you can say about Trey. He was always smiling, always happy, always there for you. Just a great guy. And I just know he's going to be so missed by everyone. And we are terribly sorry that he's gone. Yeah. And y'all are in our thoughts and our prayers, and we love y'all.
Yeah. Like I said, just one of the sweetest men I knew, and we're gonna miss him. Praying for you guys, and we're just so sorry. Love you guys.
Love y'all.
Well, I'm as puzzled as a newborn child. I'm as riddled as the tide. Should I stand amid the breakers, or should I lie with death, my bride? Hear me sing, swim to me, swim to me, let me enfold you. Here I am, here I am, waiting to hold you.
Miss Janet, Mr. Tootie and Jana, I just wanted to give you my deepest sympathies, and I just wanted to let you know that playing golf with Trey was usually the highlight of my week. Even though he always somehow convinced me to play for money, and he more often than not was the one taking my money, it was still fun, and I'm really going to miss him, and he's in a better place now.
Hey, Mr. Tootie, Miss Janet. There's nothing I can tell y'all about Trey that y'all don't already know. But he had an infectious smile. Anytime he walked into a room, he made everybody's day better. He's going to be missed. Love y'all.
So I have several memories that I'll never forget. And dealing with Trey and working with Trey and interacting with Trey. One of the fun ones would have been Trey was kind of laid back and never really got excited. He did, but he controlled his emotions. So he never really knew if he was really excited or really frustrated, just because he did such a good job of containing that. And he always gave that impression that he was just kind of in control. But we're playing at Santa Mall one year, and we're down by 17 at halftime. We're getting smoked. And then the second half, we kind of get a little momentum going our way. Trey hits a couple big shots, gets a steal, and next thing you know, we're up 10 in the third quarter. And it was a 20-something point turnaround in one quarter, and Trey literally got excited, said things to his teammates to encourage them. It was just something that I hadn't seen in him because he always controlled it, and I just sometimes I wondered, was he excited? Was he aggravated? At that point in time, I knew. And it was just fun to watch. It was fun to watch him just kind of relax and enjoy what was happening because he was a big part of that. And then secondly would have been recently just playing golf with him. We rode to the Bluffs to play golf for a couple of days. I think we're playing in the same tournament. And him just sharing his story about beating his addiction. And just the strength of him as a person to do what he did was something that I'll never forget. It's something that I know I couldn't have done. And just made it clear to me that, it wasn't his mind and his heart that was chasing that. It was his body. And when he told me what he had to go through and why he did it, why he was able, or how he was able to beat that addiction, thinking about his family and that his family didn't deserve him to be doing what he was doing. And he said, Coach, I just couldn't do it anymore. I had to do something. And as he talked me through that process, how brutal it was on his body, I just thought this young guy's a better man than me. And it'll be something I'll never forget. The vivid details of what it did to his body and how he was able to overcome that. And much pride, much appreciation for him, much respect for him as a person, as a man, to endure something I don't think I could have done. So those are a couple of the things, though sad in the end, that I'll never forget about Trey and how he impacted my life. And those two things would be, now I try to enjoy things more and have fun, even if I'm doing something that may be in a competitive way. And then number two, if Trey could overcome what he did, then there are things I can endure physically that I didn't think I could do. So another memory that I wanted to share about Trey was the most recent one. Trey had come over to help us do some electrical work on a house that we're renovating for Kelly. And it was in August, right around the time all the storms hit and the flooding had happened. And my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were there staying with us. And Trey came by after. Miss Jody just wanted to feed him for the work that he had done. And I wanted to give him a golf ball. We just wanted to do something for him because he was doing it out of the kindness of his heart. And he just kind of came and ate supper with us, and just his pleasantness, just that he was so easy to talk to and visit with. But one of the things that stood out to me and to Jody, and she reminded me of this, was just that how much he loved his family, how much he loved his niece and nephew. He didn't want them to see him. He wanted him to see him as a great person, as a great man, and how much he loved his parents, and the idea that again, he couldn't continue doing what he was doing to them. And so it was just fun. It was just so easy. It was just like he'd been hanging out with us every day for the last 2 years, and that was just Trey. He was just easy to get along with, easy to talk to, and never really met anybody he didn't like. So that was a great memory for us, for Jody, and actually for my sister-in-law and brother-in-law to get to meet him and to be able to hang out with him.
think it's time for a change, 'cause things feel out of touch, and I'll watch you walk away again.
Hey, my Orgeron family. I loved the idea of everybody getting a video or a little something special that they remembered about Trey, and putting them all together and sending it to y'all. And all I kept thinking about when we decided to do this video was Big Brother. He was the only big brother I ever had. And he filled those shoes very well. He aggravated, but took up for me every chance that he got. And I was trying to think of one of the many funny memories, and I don't remember what he did to me. I have no idea. But he made me so mad to where I told him, I'm going to get you back, Trey. My buddy, my pal, I'm going to get you back this time. And we went ice skating. And I was going to go up behind him and I was going to knock his knees out from underneath him like he always used to do to me. I'm pretty sure he had made me fall on the football field or something in front of everybody in the school. And I was planning something big for him. And we were ice skating. And I walked up behind him and I tried to knee knock him. And I got him back good because his feet came out from underneath him. He fell on his back or his butt and he broke his tailbone. And I felt so bad. But that baby had to walk around high school with a donut and sit in every single one of his classes with a donut because I had broken his tailbone. And I felt so bad. But he laughed it off and he told me that he would never forget it. And I did. I finally got him back and he was proud of me for being so successful at getting him back. He took up for me all the time. He was the only reason I remember in high school that I even got voted homecoming court because he wanted his little sister to get on. And he walked me my very first year and I'll never forget it. I loved him very much, and I hope he will always remember how much he was loved. He was amazing. His smile lit up every room. He had the biggest heart in the world, and I think he had every good piece of Miss Janet and Mr. Tootie. Just joyful, caring, loving. He had every one of y'all's good qualities. I love y'all all very, very much. And he will truly be missed.
Well, this feels like too much, and things won't go my way. Now I'll have to fade away, my friend. So pass slowly and carry me down, and render me lonely when you're not around.
Okay, so I have a couple memories with Trey. Well, I have tons of memories with Trey, but a couple that really stand out. The first one being when we were in high school, our parents were crazy, along with the rest of the tribe's parents, Miss Linda, Miss Charlene, Miss Janet, and Donna. And so, and super strict. And so every time me and Trey would be at a party that we probably weren't supposed to be at, he would, as soon as he would see me, he would say, hey, Megan, you're not here and I'm not here. And it became our little thing because we would never rat on each other about all the parties that we went to. And then another memory with Trey is every relationship that I ever went through, he, when the relationship would fall apart or we'd break up, Trey would always call me and let me know that I was perfect. I could have anybody I wanted.
I was not crazy at all, and it was his loss. And I mean, he's done that even up until my last relationship. And it wasn't until really reflecting back over the last 35 years that I realized that I am in fact a little crazy, and Trey was just being one of my best cheerleaders. So that leads me to the point that Trey's always been that person in your corner that lifted you up and supported you, and really was your greatest cheerleader, just like his mom. So I love you, Trey. I'm really gonna miss you.
So as I sit here on, Masters Sunday watching golf, can't help but think about all the rounds of golf that Trey and I played, whether it been with Tootie or, some of the other guys, the fun times we had, the competition, the jokes. That's really what I'm thinking about hard today. There's millions of stories that we could tell about golf, and that was all great and fun. But the one thing that I loved about Trey the most is that guy was always willing to help you out, no matter what it was. He didn't care. He would drop whatever he was doing. He'd be the first to show up. Whether it be running some electrical in your house, hanging my TV, helping my dad with some things over at his house. He showed up to Mike and Joni's after the flood to help gut. No one even called him. He just showed up. And he always showed up. No matter what someone needed, he was always there. And that's what I'll always remember Trey for. I love you, Trey. I miss you. And until we see each other again, love you, man.
Trey was a one-of-a-kind, caring, loving individual who meant the world to Brooke and I. He was the best man in our wedding. If he was ever around for an argument between Brooke and I, always took her side, no matter what, no matter the circumstance. She was telling me a story the other day that we were at the house watching a football game, and we were being loud. Cooper couldn't go to sleep. She came in there to fuss at us, and Trey stopped watching the game, went and grabbed Cooper from her, went and rocked him to sleep so she could enjoy her night for a little while, because that's what he did, and that's who he was. Super competitive, like everyone knows, hated to lose, no matter the game. Countless hours on a golf course of him just beating me relentlessly. But the occasional time or two that I would play well and beat him, he was happy because I played well. The stories that we could tell for days and days. Just a few that come to mind are him snatching that seagull out of thin air at the Hard Rock in Biloxi when someone threw a basket of fries in the pool because he wanted to see if he could snatch it. Laughing with him at his dad on a golf course because Tootie was upset at the group in front of us because they were playing just a little too slow for him that day, or they took one extra mulligan. Or the practical jokes that he was notorious for in our group. Roy, you know the ones I'm talking about. He's loved by all. He'll be missed. Rest easy, brother.
I need to shake off this pain, but courage takes too much, so I have to walk away again. Oh God, I miss your touch,
favorite memories with Trey. There was one particular memory that popped up in my head whenever I thought about doing this video, and that was Thanksgiving. Really, like a while back. Trey had done everything. He got all of the food from the catering facility and he brought it over. He had been working all day on it, just like I remembered you guys do for Thanksgiving. And he brought everything over, and I saw him in Trey cooking mode, and I was like, what can I do to help you? Just give me an assignment. So he said, all right, just dress the salad, kind of get the salad together for me. I was like, okay, I got this. So I did dress the salad, got everything ready, and he was just kind of doing his thing. So I was like, all right, well, I'll eat a little bit of salad while we wait for everything else to get ready. So I started eating the salad that he brought, and I was just like, this is the best salad I've ever had in my life. Oh my gosh, I just start raving to him about how good their dressing is. I was like, this salad tastes like a milkshake. This is just the best salad dressing I've ever had. And I remember even thinking in my head at the time, like, oh, this is gonna be the healthiest I've ever been for Thanksgiving. Like, I'm gonna eat mostly salad and I'll eat a little bit of side dishes, but I'm gonna eat salad. This is so good. Well, in the middle of all of that, I remember Trey was still kind of working in the kitchen, and he just looked around while he was trying to get the bread pudding ready, and he said, where's the icing for the bread pudding? And suddenly my heart dropped and my eyes got really big, and I was like, oh no. I might know where it is. So the Tupperwares for the Caesar dressing and the icing for the bread pudding were in the same type of Tupperware, and in my defense, they were not labeled. So I dressed the salad that I had been indulging in the icing for the bread pudding. And so Trey's face just looked at me. He was so mad. And I just had, all I could do was give these puppy dog eyes, because I was like, oh no, I know you've been working so hard all day. And I just ruined 2 dishes within like 10 seconds. So I just kind of give him the puppy dog eyes look and was just kind of like, I'm so sorry, but also when you're done being mad, you should definitely eat some salad because it's delicious. He didn't stay mad for very long. All he could do at that point was just laugh, and I remembered, that's just one of my favorite memories of us. And then another kind of thought came to me today, that kind of brought me some peace, was I remembered he and Papa Harold's relationship and how close they were, and how just how much he loved Papa Harold and how much he took care of them. And so I kind of had a peaceful thought randomly earlier of them two just sitting together, talking, catching up. I'm not going to go into it because I want this to be a happy video, but I do hope that you guys can kind of paint an image of the people that Trey lost and that he's able to reconnect with. It brought me a lot of peace thinking of them two just laughing together, and him being able to see Papa Harold again. I love you guys, and I'm here.
Trey Orgeron. That's a name that will forever be synonymous with laughter to me. From 10-year-old baseball until adulthood, I've shared more laughs than you could ever imagine with Trey. everything was always, it was always a joke, you know. Everything with Trey was, what can we do to this person? What can we pull on this person? Man, he really knew how to make me laugh. Had a lot of fun with Trey. Had a lot of good times. A lot of heartfelt talks later in life. Had a lot of laughs from water ballooning people in the Walmart parking lot when we were in the 10th grade, I think, to him being at the hospital for the birth of my children. I mean, it's the whole spectrum. I loved him like a brother, and I'll always carry him with me. Miss Janet, Mr. Tootie, my prayers and condolences to y'all. Jessica and I will truly, truly miss Trey, and we'll always carry a piece of him with us.
One of my fondest memories of Trey was one of the first times we ever went bowling together. Somehow I ended up with a higher score than him, and it bothered him so bad, and I just could not stop talking about it until he finally was like, all right, that's enough, Legs. I can't handle it anymore.
He did not like losing at anything.
And it just made me so happy that I won, because I knew how competitive he was, especially at sports. And that's just one thing that I'll never be able to go bowling ever again without thinking of him.
For sure. There's so many aspects of life that will always remind us of Trey, and what a pleasure he really was to be around, how much fun we had together.
How much, anytime he saw our kids, he just loved them like he had seen them every day.
Yes, he was great with children, and just always a pleasure to be around. Just a genuine person, a good person, someone I held in a very high regard, and we love you guys. And
we're so, so sorry. You're in our thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely. And if there's anything you need, you know how to get in touch with us.
We love y'all so much.
It's hard to know where to start when you talk about Trey and what he meant to me in my life. From a young man growing up in church, being able to spend time with him was amazing. He and Catlin and Todd and Dylan, being able to go to the movies or just spend time together was amazing for me, and I enjoyed it so much. And what's incredible is so many years after the fact, after he was grown and an adult, and he texted me one night, because I don't know why, but he told me how much I had meant to him over those years growing up and having somebody that he could spend time with, a mentor, whatever you want to call it. And so it was amazing when those tables got turned, and after the flood, I needed a place to stay, and I moved in with him. And he taught me so much. The 2 years that I was living with him, he pushed me. He made me so angry. But if it wasn't for him, I would never have met my wife. I would have probably never gotten married and never be where I am now. And that's amazing for me to think about. He was a wonderful, wonderful friend, and I'm going to miss him so much. And I'm just so thankful that I had him in my life. And Trey loves Star Wars, so that's why I'm wearing this shirt. He had one just like it too. But Trey loves people. He loved them so much. And he always did his best to try to help them out any way that he could. And that always impressed me. And I'm just so thankful to have had him in my life. and for the friend that he was, for giving me a home when I didn't have any at all, when I didn't know where I was going. He gave me a place to stay, a place that I could call my own. And he helped turn me into the man that I am today, a married man. And I'll never forget that. I'm going to miss you, Trey, so much.
I remember playing golf with Trey. Every time we played golf, he'd have that tidbit of information that made me play my best round. And that's what Trey is. He's that tidbit of greatness that makes everybody around him better. He will be tremendously missed. We love you.
Remember me only when you're not around. Oh yeah, can't you stay a while longer? Oh yeah, won't you stay? God, please stay and pass slowly.
When I was a kid, I remember going to Tootie and Janet's house, and Trey always called me punkhead, pillow. He would grab me and act like I wasn't there, and say, "Why are you squirming, pillow? Stop squirming. Stop moving around." And hold me down in his bed like I was a pillow. I hated it. But I mean, it's one of those things like you hate, but you love it too when you're little. Playing video games. I remember one time, my mom, she wouldn't get me a game. Like I needed a game for my Game Boy or something for my birthday, and I wanted Star Wars, and she kept saying I needed to get, I think it was a sports game or something. She didn't think that I was gonna like Star Wars, and so she had to go ask Trey, because Trey is, I guess, a video game connoisseur. And she asked him, and he looked at me, and I said, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. And he said, yeah, definitely get him Star Wars. That's the best game out right now. And it made my day, because he had my back on the Star Wars game. But when I got older, I remember Trey teaching me how to make a brine for turkeys, how to do my turkeys for my family. Whenever I drove him around for a couple weeks, he helped around at the shop and did some electrical work, and really we just hung out for a while after he cleaned up, and we would talk all the time. I've already tried to do this a few times, so I'm just gonna cry. But I was at a point where I just felt wore out and my spirit was down, and I didn't really want to talk to my dad or anyone like that, because it's just hard, because you're in two different seasons of life. But then I started hanging out with Trey, and he got it, and he got it more than I did. It made me realize that not everything, like my life isn't so hard, and the stuff I got going isn't so hard. But whenever I tell him that, he would say that's wrong. None of your situation is ever any worse, any more, any less than anything I'm going through. We're just in two different spots. Everything you're going through is just as important as anything I have to do. And I was worried about girls I just broken up with, or got out of a relationship, and he just told me, he said, God has gotta have somebody so special out there for you. You just wait, because it's better than anything you can imagine. He's the sweetest, one of the sweetest guys. Sweetest guys I know.
So this is our video for Trey, and about Trey and how he impacted our lives. The thing that I remember most, I guess, about him, especially as a child, I remember him coming to our house one weekend, and his hair was so blotched up. I don't know if they brought him to Fantastic Sam's or whatever, but it was horrible. I said, boy, you look like you got leukemia. I said, come over here, we're going to fix that haircut. So I gave him basically a crew cut. And from that day forward, I called him Luke for leukemia, until he got into high school and he played basketball. And I teased him about just playing basketball because basketball was that sissy sport. So instead of calling him Trey, I'd call him Tracy. So, but he always got a kick out of it. And just the thing that hits me the most about Trey in this just difficult time is just what a beautiful person he was, and how sweet he was. Just every memory that I have is just how sweet of a guy. Really the sweetest guy I probably knew. Trey Orgeron. Love you, Trey.
Well, my memories are just in my mind's eye. I could see Trey back at the Berean pool with all the kids playing. That was the first thing I thought of. And then I remember weekends, Saturdays at the Chifuncta jet skiing, and all of our families just together. And Trey was always so good about riding the kids on the jet ski. Even when he wanted to be going fast by himself, he would take the kids for a ride. And then there was family vacations at the beach. One instance when Trey told Kyle he would take him to ride go-karts because Kyle was having a meltdown because he couldn't ride the big slingshot with the big kids, and so Trey told him that he would take him, and he did. But that was Trey. He always was seeking to just be a friend, and to just, he just had so much love for others. And then I was thinking about their high school years, he and Megan, and the time that they decided that they would go to a dance together so they could have fun and not have to worry about dates. And Janet and I had such high hopes that they were gonna get married or something. And then when we asked them both how it went, and Megan was like, "Ew, Trey's like my brother," and Trey said, "Ew, Mama, Megan's like my sister." And so, and it was just always fun that they were all in high school together, and that we could just see them just excel at the things that they loved. And then just more recently, whenever a year and a half ago, whenever Trey came to our house for a week, and he was getting all my electrical things working, and Janet would drop him off, and he'd be here all day. He and Kyle would be working, and he hung fans, he hung lights, he changed my switch plates that were, the fans and lights were, I never knew what I was turning on in each room. He said, "I'm going to fix that for you, Miss Donna." And then my TV, I told Keith that if I had to have a TV over my mantle, I wanted it hung right. I didn't want it just propped up there like it had been since we moved back in. And he said, "I can't, that's too much trouble. We're not doing all that." And Trey said, he overheard, and he said, "Miss Donna, I can do that. I'm going to do that for you." And he worked on it all afternoon, at least, probably most of the day, having to go to the store to get things. But my TV was hung, and he was just always about doing for others and pleasing them. And I'm just going to miss him so much.
We all will. But the
We
best
love
part about it is that Trey knew Jesus, and he's with him right now, and we love that.
Hello, my loved ones. First, I want to say that I appreciate how the Lord fit us all together, young in our Christian walk with children, being able to raise them together, have so many memories, and we've cried together and we've had great joy together. One particular memory, we were down at Bell River having fun in the summer. I believe we were on y'all's boat, and Trey was definitely on a jet ski. I think it might have been one of ours. And they were out there having so much fun, and we realized that the jet ski was sinking with him on it. And I remember the look of worry on his face because he thought he had done something wrong when it was just some kind of mechanical error. But Trey was always so respectful, so kind and sweet, funny. I remember him walking around the church. I don't think I ever saw him in anything except tennis shoes, walking on the balls of his feet. And so many fellowships. We would watch he and others out there on the basketball court, that tall, lanky dude, so talented. And I know Gregory looked up to him. And I know this is a tough time. And I pray that God give you peace during it. And hang on to those memories.
So, after about 25 tries, I'm going to get this video in. I owe it to Trey. I owe it to his family and anybody that was close to Trey to just, tell a story, a funny one. There was never a dull moment with us and Trey and our group, but we like to golf, and they, meaning Trey, introduced me to the game of golf. And we went golfing one day, as we did many days, and he took Mr. Tootie's driver with us to the course. Well, all day long I begged him to let me hit it, and he just wouldn't give in. Well, I guess halfway through the round he was tired of hearing me, so he said, "Sure, hit it, but please don't break it." I said, "I'm not going to break it. I'm an athlete." And I broke it. So I think the ball didn't go anywhere, but the club head flew further than the ball. So that was one of many of great stories that we still talk about to this day in our group. Trey was a special person to us, a special person to me and my family, and I could tell stories about him all day and things that we've done, and you could probably write a movie about it. One thing I can tell you about Trey, he had the best intentions in everything that he did. The most selfless person I've ever met, would do anything for anybody. Call on a drop of a hat. I think he's picked me up off the side of the interstate one night. So, I mean, he's just that kind of guy and always has been. And I'm going to miss him dearly for sure. I know a lot of people will miss him dearly, but he'll always be with me. Anytime I'm cooking or teeing it up at the golf course, I will always think about Trey, especially if I four-putt, because he seemed to laugh at me to do that a lot. So I love you, buddy. Miss you.
When I was a kid, like preteen, from like the age of 6 to 12, I guess. Anytime there was a movie premiere for like Star Wars or James Bond or anything like that, Keith Lane would bring me and Trey and Catlin to the premiere, and it was something we all looked forward to, I think. But after the premiere, we would always go get a Frosty from Wendy's. And for some reason, every time we would be in like the drive-through lane, right when Keith Lane goes to order our Frosties, I remember, I can still hear Trey scream in this ridiculous accent, "I farted!" And he would just keep on screaming it. "I farted! I farted!" And Keith Lane would get so mad. And like, I thought it was the funniest thing in the world because, first of all, farts are hilarious, and just the way that Trey was screaming it with this ridiculous like Borat type accent, I thought it was great. And anytime that we can make Keith Lane suffer a little bit was just icing on the cake. But yeah, that was just Trey, and he had that real distinct like giggly laugh that was like kind of in his chest, but also, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. So I think if my memory's correct, Janet and Tootie's was the first place that I actually spent the night at, and all through my single digit years, I would go over there and play with Trey's like WCW, WWF wrestling stuff, and he had all of the plastic wrestler like action figures and all of the Ninja Turtles. I think that's where I like first like decided that I love Ninja Turtles, and he let me play with everything. And his Nintendo, I would play Mario Kart all the time with him, and he had this bright orange basketball globe on his fan, and I couldn't stand it, but I thought it was cool that he did something like that. I was like, I don't know, it just seemed like something that was so him. Like, I didn't know anyone else that had anything like that. And those were like some of my first experiences of freedom, was being with Trey and Jana, and riding our bikes to the corner store or our skates and going to get an icy and a Zero bar or whatever it was. I thought it was so cool because I always had to have a parent with me, except for whenever I was with Trey and Jana at their house. Like, we could do whatever. It was like we owned the world in our own little space, and it was just some of my fondest memories of my youth was going to that little corner store, and I look forward to it every time. And Trey was just always so good to me, I mean, my whole life. He never, yeah, he was just, he was always very kind to me, and I always looked up to him, and I'll miss him.
One memory that I have of Trey, which those of you who may have known him and who did know him personally know that there's a ton of stories that we can all tell. But for those of you who knew who Trey was to me in my life, he was a brother, and he was someone that I looked up to a lot from a young age. He taught me about everything about the North Carolina Tar Heels and how the Blue Devils never stood a chance against them. Multiple family vacations of going places. But one thing that really stands out to me the most about Trey that I can remember is that he needed me in his life. And that was when we went to the beach, because he called me his woman magnet, his babe magnet. So Mom, Dad, Mr. Tootie, Miss Janet, and the sisters would always go out to dinner and go get ice cream or something, and Trey would say, "No, I want Dylan," or now Samuel, to stay with me because we're going to go to the beach and he's going to be the way that I pick up girls. So everywhere that I went, I was his little brother, which he really was my brother. And we would go and we'd meet girls, and sometimes we would go hang out with them, and then other times it would be a complete shot down, and then it didn't work. But if I could share one thing, that's one story that I always laugh about, that we always joked about. But everyone knows that he was always joy-filled, that when he walked into the room, he would lift everything in that room. I don't think I've ever met anyone in my entire life who has such a big heart and such a caring heart for others, to put others first. And he definitely was a mama's boy. And he loved his mama very, very much. And he loved his nieces and his nephews very, very much. And there was nothing in this world that he wouldn't do for them. And he's going to be greatly missed. But I love and I cherish every moment that I've ever had with him. And I'm so thankful that I've gotten to live the life that I got to live with him and be a part of everything with him.
Hey, Uncle Tootie and Aunt Janet. I just want to start by saying that I've always looked to y'all as if y'all were family. Y'all are always like second parents to me, and so therefore Trey and Janicole were both like siblings to me. Very special relationship with y'all and with them, and just so grateful to have had that all my life. Trey was always just such a sweet soul, had a beautiful smile and so much fun. He was always willing to do anything for us. In particular, whenever we moved Southern Charm from the old location to the new location, he had been doing electrical for a while at that point, and was looking for extra money, and came as soon as I called and said he'd love to help, and he helped us do a lot. We had a lot to do in the new space, a lot of rewiring and a lot of changing out lights and all kind of crazy stuff, and he went out of his way to help us. And I think he was working at Tesh at the time, is that right? And he just really helped. He had funny nicknames for everybody, obviously, y'all know that, but he called Kinley Squirrel from the time that she was a baby because she had her big chipmunk squirrel cheeks, and I guess that just stuck, and he's always called her Squirrel, and he still calls her Squirrel to this day, and I love it because it embarrasses her, and I think it's fun, and definitely gonna miss that about him, just seeing his smile and his silliness, and how he was just always willing to help, and how great he was with the kids, all kids. He was just always so good with them, and he came over here several times to watch games and to hang out, and just gonna really miss him. We love y'all very much, and we are praying for y'all.
Well, when I became part of this family, the thing that me and Trey had in common, and that we got to share with each other and talk about and do a lot, was basketball. And that was more than 20 years ago. And just a couple of years ago, we needed somebody to help us coach a basketball team. And so I called Trey and talked to him about it, and he was more than glad to do it and excited about it. And when we got into it, the thing that struck me was how good he was with all of those kids, and all the kids loved him. He was just so good with them and taught them way more than I ever could, and not just about basketball but about life. And during that Biddy basketball season, Biddy starts before Christmas, and so I was telling Trey after one of the practices about how I had some just toys that I still needed to put together before Christmas, and without hesitation he stayed at the gym with me that night until like 11 o'clock putting the toys together. And that's something that's always stuck with me, and just something about Trey, that it didn't matter what he had going on, he would drop what he was doing to help somebody else. And it made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And
absolutely,
we're going to miss him. And we love him, and we love y'all, and we're praying for y'all.
Lights are shining bright as always downtown on the road. I have friends that come from out of town asking me to go. They say there's so much going on. Why don't you come along and show us around?
One of my favorite memories of Trey is going to my sister's wedding. Me and him, we drove up together in Gatlinburg, and I was just going through a divorce. I was very not put together, my life, my car, my everything. So we were gonna take my car and go meet Courtney and them up there, and he was disgusted, so he had to clean out my car, which ended up being like 2 trash bags full. It was like a long night, and he was just disgusted with me. Well, anyway, so we ended up talking like about it the whole way. It was like a really good ride because I got to get different perspective. He was really open and helping me with it. And now I got some funny video clips from up there, but when it came to my turn to drive, he just was like, oh, it's all right, because like it was in the mountains, and like I slid like a little bit like one time, and he was like, it's okay, I got it. Like, you just, I was like, but you've been driving for like 18,000 hours. He was like, no, I got it. So apparently I'm not a mountain driver without saying it, but it was a really fun memory, and it was a lot of time, quality time me and him had that day. And it was, you know, something I'll never forget. Love you guys.
I could tell you so many things that Trey didn't say that were hysterical, but one of the things I'll always remember is that when we would see each other, he would go, well, hey, you freaking moron, and I'd say, get out of here, you idiot. And we would laugh like we were 5 years old, and it was the funniest thing we'd ever heard. And then we would start talking to each other in this language that I don't even know what language it was, but we had the funnest relationship in that way. I always remember that. I love you guys with all my heart.
Take 14. Janet and Tootie and Jana, I just want to let y'all know how much I love you, how much I'm praying for y'all. I just pray the Lord comforts y'all and gives you strength to get through these days. And things that I want to say about Trey is just that smile that would just melt your heart, and the love that he showed to everyone he was around. And mainly the things I remember of him is how much he loved the little children. He was an uncle, a big brother, he just always had such compassion for children and sports. And like I can always remember Dylan just beating up on him when he was little, and Trey would just take it and roll on the ground with him and just love on him. And how much Catlin's kids love Uncle Trey. And he just has such a beautiful heart for children, and it just makes me smile thinking about that. And just the mama's baby he was. I can remember him crying, didn't want to go in the nursery. He didn't want to go in kindergarten. Didn't want to go in first grade. I don't even know if he wanted to go to second grade without Mama there. But then he rose to the occasion and became a big boy and did so wonderful in school, and just was a genius in his eyes and in our eyes. But I just want to let y'all know how much I love you, and just know that you're loved by so many, and just that the Lord just cover you and keep you in perfect peace. I love y'all.
Hey, Tootie and Janet, this is take number 6 of the video. Got a couple of memories of Trey that they asked us to share. And the first one would be we were playing golf somewhere, we'd finished, and I forgot who he was talking to. Probably forgot more than I'll ever remember now. Roy accused me of having Alzheimer's, of course. But Trey was telling someone that he would like for me to, when he got married, to stand in his wedding. And I always thought that was an honor that he would consider old man like me to stand in his wedding. So the other stuff, I guess, I knew that whenever we were playing that I would always have a meal if he ordered a hot dog, because he never ate the end of the hot dog that he touched for some reason. I don't remember why, but I knew when he ordered a hot dog, I was going to get a bite, the last bite at least. So enjoyed all the fun we had playing, the competitiveness, the ribbing and joking and just having fun. Just enjoyed the guys getting out there and just the camaraderie. So gonna miss that part of it. But anyway, I'm sure we'll be in touch with y'all and see y'all soon. Prayers are with y'all.
Love y'all.
Bye.
I have so many special memories of Trey, and they start when he was a little boy and used to just be he was the cutest little thing, would run around on his tiptoes, that cute little grin. He was so full of life and energy and was always on a mission, had somewhere to be, something to be doing. He had such a tender little heart. And whenever Whitney and Jana were friends, it was so sweet that Trey took on the big brother role. And if Whitney would wake up in the middle of the night afraid, Trey would get out of his bed and comfort her so she wouldn't be afraid. And Trey was also like a big brother to Dylan when he was a little boy. Trey just adored Dylan and let him hang around with him. And Dylan looked up to Trey so much. Everything that Trey did, Dylan wanted to do. It was like Trey set the standard. Would Trey wear this? Would Trey do this, Mama? Do these look like Trey's? Dylan even wanted to spike his hair just like Trey did. And then as Trey started getting a little older, he became a jokester. He loved to aggravate. It brought him joy. The more he could aggravate somebody, the happier it made him. Just so full of laughter and joy. And I can remember one time whenever they were teenagers and Trey hid behind my car and jumped out to scare me. He thought that was hilarious. Another thing Trey did was when they were in high school, I had a kitchen table that was completely glass, and Trey crawled underneath my kitchen table and put handprints all underneath it, and even did blowfish kisses underneath my kitchen table just to aggravate me. He thought that was hilarious. Yes, he thought that was just the best joke he could pull on me, because I was always telling him, quit making fingerprints on my table. So he got me good. And then another one, he was an adult, seemed like not too many years ago, and he was playing on my cell phone one day whenever y'all were all here. And I didn't realize until y'all had left, but he had turned everything on my cell phone into Spanish. So I had to call him, and he had to walk me through over the cell phone how to turn my cell phone back into English. He thought that was hilarious. He just had the biggest laugh out of that. So with everything that I've said, Janet and Tootie, I want to commend you that y'all have done a great job in raising him. Trey will be so missed by so many. And he was always just a joy to be around with the smile. He always lit a room up. He will be well missed. And he is now in the arms of his Heavenly Father.
I tell him Karen's not feeling well, so I probably shouldn't go out. Besides, I've got a fix-it list of things I need to do around the house. Then I hang up the phone, turn the radio back on, and sit back down. I know my boy ain't here, but he ain't gone. In the mornings I wake up, give her a kiss, head to the ambition. Go outside, sit by myself, but I ain't alone. I've got the Father, my Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Okay. So I was thinking about stories of Trey, and one sticks out the most. So when Catlin and I first started dating, I was still living in Mobile, and a handful of them came on a little party bus to visit me one weekend. And okay, well, there's two stories from that weekend. Anyway, so this was in our heathen days, okay? And we had been out, and we had come home to the house that I lived in at the time, and everybody was sleeping, and everybody was preparing for sleep, and Trey had passed out immediately, went to the spare bedroom, and went to sleep. Well, Brindy had claimed that bed, and so she wanted him to wake up and move, but he was completely passed out, sleeping hard as a rock. And so she decided to go in the kitchen and get a bunch of pan tops. What are they called? Lids. The lids to the pans. And she went in the bedroom, flipped the lights on, and just started beating the pan tops together as loud as she could. And she said, "Get up!" And Trey, his eyes popped open wider than I've ever seen anybody's eyes popped open, and he sprung out straight out of bed and fell on the floor, and we all laughed really hard at that. And I think I'll stop at that one because it's my favorite, and I'm gonna laugh at that story for the rest of my life for sure.
Hey, Miss Janet, Mr. Tootie, Jana. It's probably the worst day for me to do this. My sinuses are completely stopped up. I didn't think it would be this hard to put this video together with everyone's stories. Seeing how much Trey meant to so many people. I've got a couple stories about him. One of them was a golf story, which most everybody has with him. This is one of the strangest things I've ever seen, and I'll probably never see it again. But me and Trey and some other guys were playing golf at Howell Park, and Brian Debatez and Chase Roy had already teed off and hit their second shot, and were at the green. Trey and Jonathan had hit their drive, and they were at their ball, and me and Catlin were at the tee. And all of a sudden we just heard this loud noise, and we looked over, and there was a tire just coming out of nowhere, going about 50-60 miles an hour down the road. It hit the curb, jumped over the fence, started headed down the fairway, and everybody started screaming. And it was heading straight for the green. And Brian and Chase were on the other side of the green from where the bunkers were. And we were yelling at them, telling them to get out the way because it was coming straight for them. And the tire hit the embankment right in front of the sand trap, went airborne over the green, and Brian had got out of the golf cart and moved out of the way, and Chase was on his phone. And at the last second, I don't even think it was because we were telling him to get out of the way, he got up out of the golf cart
and the tire went in the air straight through the golf cart, exactly where Chase was sitting. Never touched a single thing of the golf cart. Hit the ground through, jumped over another fence, and then crashed up against a building. And then we start hearing the car coming down the street with straight on the hub with no wheel on it. And we were all panicking at first when it happened, but when we saw everybody was okay, we were all on the ground laughing. You can look over and see Trey halfway down the fairway was on his back with his hands on his belly, and you could hear him laughing. Probably everybody in the whole golf course could hear him laughing, if you know that loud laugh he gets sometimes. It was one of the strangest things I'd ever seen. Other stories is just like other people have said, Trey would do anything for anybody. All they had to do was ask. And a lot of times, you didn't even have to ask. When my house flooded, one day he just showed up and asked what he could help me do. And we pretty much got all the furniture out of my whole house into an enclosed trailer. And I never had to ask him to do it. And one of the other biggest things that comes to mind is the day I got back from New York with my fiance. We had just finished renovating my house from the flood. And when I got home to show Mel the house for the first time, we opened the door and the entire house was covered in water because a pipe had busted. So I didn't know what to do. I called my parents and I got Melody and brought her to my parents' house, which is where we were staying, and showed her around, showed her everything. And then I got back to the house, and before I could even do anything, Trey, my brother, my dad, and Mr. Tootie were all there. And they had pretty much sucked all the water out of the house already. And I didn't even have to ask them. But Trey's done that for a lot of people. Especially being a trade of an electrician. You get asked a lot. And I don't know of anybody that's ever been turned down from him. But he's going to be missed. And praying for his family. I just wish we spent more time together. He was family, a roommate, and a friend. And he'll be missed. Love y'all.
I've been pushed and shoved, but never ever really knocked down. Between mom and dad, Uncle Sam and friends, I somehow always pulled out. But the pain of this was more than I'd ever felt before. Yeah, I was broke. I cried and cried and cried until I passed out on the floor. Then I prayed and prayed and prayed till I thought I couldn't pray anymore. Then minute by minute, day by day, my God, He gave me hope. I know my boy ain't here, but he ain't gone. In the mornings I wake up, give her a kiss, head to the kitchen, pour a cup and wake me up and try
Hello, Miss Janet and friends. This is hard for me to talk about, obviously. It's hard for me to explain how I feel about Trey's death. It's not what I expected to feel. Since Wednesday, my mind's just been blank. I can't. The suggestion to talk about memories with Trey or some specific story, I don't know. For some reason, I can't pick one out. Trey's just always been there. And I've always been there in his life. I can't really describe our relationship really, because we had nothing in common at all. I think if it wasn't for our mothers, we might not have been ever friends, but we were best friends. He was like my brother. So I can't really think of one specific story to tell about. Mostly what I remember is just what pops in my head is just kind of just a life with Trey and him just, he was always in the background of my life and I was in the background of his for whatever reason. We were just friends. So I guess I can try to go to the earliest memory I have with Trey, which was I don't know when we really came into each other's life. We were just, I feel like we just the first time I was around him, I just spent the night at his house. I think my mom and Miss Janet just arranged that to happen, and I think that was in like Tiffany Estates when they had the trailer. We're living in the trailer park. I can remember staying the night for Trey's birthday, and watermelon party sticks out in my mind. I remember it was me, Trey, and a little African American kid that lived a couple houses down, and we were tearing into some watermelon for whatever reason, like on the little Tykes like picnic table next to the trailer. And I don't really remember much, but that's just the youngest I can think. We were very young. Trey was covered in head to toe in watermelon like he always was. For some reason, Trey couldn't eat anything without making a mess. He could eat one M&M and be covered, his whole face would be covered in chocolate for some reason. So there was that. From the trailer park, I remember a few things. I remember the old man who would walk around and he would give us gum. I remember my mom finding out that I took gum from the old man, and she freaked out a little bit because it could have been poisoned or something like that, and because he was probably creepy. I remember Trey getting shot by a BB gun from some kids through a window. He got shot in the leg, and I didn't believe him at first, and then we went back to the house and my mom came over and she like pushed the BB out of his leg. Those are probably the earliest things I can remember. I remember taking baths with Trey. Like we were friends that early that we were taking baths together for some reason. I feel like we took baths together probably later than we should have. So another thing is, how did Trey eat so much food? Trey ate more than maybe anybody I knew in my life, and it was no secret that Trey was skin and bones. Fastest metabolism I've ever seen in my life. Speaking of sleepovers,
there was a long stretch of time that I felt like I pretty much lived at the Orgeron house for every weekend that there was. Trey, I feel like I had several friends who didn't sleep away from home. I was always sleeping over at their house. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Trey, for a long time, didn't sleep anywhere from home. He loved his mama, and he loved being at home, and he was content, and yeah, he didn't sleep away from home. So I always stay at their house. I remember it being very strange to me staying over at Trey's house because, when nighttime came, I was usually on the floor with like a little pallet on the ground, and I was okay with that. But Mr. Tootie and Miss Janet would come in, and they would pray with us and kiss on us, but they would kiss on me and love on me like they would Trey, and I wasn't used to that, but that was just how they are, and that's how Trey was. Is they're very, very loving, and Miss Tootie and Mr. Janet, Mr. Tootie and Miss Janet treated me like I was their son when I was there, and I put my kids to sleep the same way. Is that I love on them, I kiss on them, I pray with them, and I think that's important. Trey had no lack of that in his life at all. He had wonderful parents. What else? So, sleepovers. Okay, let's talk about the Silky. Many people might not know this, but Trey and Jana had something called a Silky. And what the Silky was a small kind of like security blanket that was made out of silk, and this was a piece of cloth, a piece of Miss Janet's nightgown garment that they that Jana and Trey both slept with, because they loved their mama so much that was like they still got to sleep with her in a way. I always thought they were gross for some reason. I thought they were gross because they were like cold in a way, and they were like slinky, and just like there was just this matted up piece of cloth that they carried around, and these things look like an old weathered warship of love that they just held on to forever. I don't think Trey held on to his as long as Jana did, but I know Trey's was gross because Trey used to like roll it up and like stick it in his ear and stuff because he had like terrible earaches. I don't know. So that's just something weird that sticks out in my mind, is the Silky. And speaking of earaches, I feel like Trey had something stuck in his ear all the time. He had, I can remember a popcorn kernel being down in there because his ear would hurt, so he'd stick things down in there to like tickle it or to make him feel good. I remember he got like a piece of cereal stuck in his nose or his ear or something like that. I don't know. He was sticking stuff in his holes of his head all the time, and he was getting stuff stuck. So another thing, every time we slept over, Miss Janet was making pancakes, and I loved Miss Janet's pancakes. She would always put something different in there, and she would always be yelling, walking around the house, talking about apologizing because the first one was burnt. We know the first one was burnt. She'd always be like, the first one's burnt, I gotta figure out how long it takes. But we know Miss Janet, it's okay. I'll eat that burnt pancake, just give it to me, I don't care. But she was always apologizing because she burnt the first pancake because she had to figure out how long it took to make the first pancake. Other things are, since I was kind of ingrained into Trey's family, was his grandparents. Miss June was another early memory of mine. I don't remember a whole lot about her. I remember she was hilarious. Trey loved her to death because they were like buddies. I just remember her. I wasn't happy with my name. I didn't like Caitlin because everybody called me Caitlin, and she was the only one on my side. And she was going to take me to court, and we was going to go get my name changed legally to something I wanted to have. I remember going to their house before y'all lived there, in her house, but very vaguely. I remember her dying. Her dying was like kind of a big deal in my life because I was like the first person I knew that died, in a way, and I feel like it was the first funeral that I have ever been to, and I feel like that week was so long. I feel like we were there every day of the week at that funeral home, and it was hard. I remember it being hard on Trey because he was young, and I don't know. I just remember hanging out with him at the funeral home a lot. Of course, it probably wasn't as long as it seemed as a young child, but I know that was a big effect on his life because he cared about her a lot. I remember going to Momo Joyce's house with Trey. Again, it was like every weekend or every Sunday I was with Trey, and we would go to Momo Joyce's house with Paul Cecil. And she always had something cooking, usually some kind of roast or rice or whatever. And I can remember being so young that I didn't like rice and gravy, so she would make white rice and she would make me some butter rice in the microwave because I didn't like gravy on my rice. I just remember being there a lot for some reason. I can remember watching the Masters with Trey, him and Mr. Tootie watching it. I remember going to Darren's house. We of course idolized Darren because he was like Trey's cousin with the sweet hookups. You know, he was just like the coolest guy ever, you know. And I remember he lived up in the upstairs in this kind of like half attic, half bedroom type deal, and there was a room that had a bunch of Playboys in it, and we were always like, oh my God, I bet you there's some naked girls in there. But yeah, you know, and Darren, of course, had a influence on both me and Trey's life in some kind of way. That was like Trey's older brother and my older cousin. You know, the big incident in me and my brother's life that happened at Darren's house, and Trey was there when I shot my brother in the eye with a paintball gun. You know, Trey was there for that. I can't say it. Trey was always there. Yeah. I don't know. There's so much to say that I'm sure we'll catch up on at some point. Just know that Trey meant so much to me. And I can't describe the way that I feel right now. I just hope and I tell myself that he's at peace. Because maybe, you know, Trey wasn't the one that would let you know how he was feeling because it didn't matter. He didn't care about himself. Not in that regard to let people know. He didn't want to put his burden on people, which was part of his character, that he never wanted to be a burden on anybody. So I'm not angry at him. I love him. And I know without a doubt he loved me in a way that's enough. I don't know I don't know what the future brings. I hate to say that Trey was just a chapter in my life, because it was more than half of my life. You know, he was around and influenced me in certain ways, and hopefully I influenced him in good ways. So I don't know. I love y'all, and I'm very sorry that this has happened this soon. I don't know. I love y'all.
In the mornings I wake up, give her a kiss, head to the kitchen, pour a cup, wake me up, and try to rouse up some ambition. Go outside, sit by myself, but I ain't